Good morning, friends. Hope you are doing well. Just to give a brief introduction, I am Sridhar, Corporate Legal Consultant. I welcome you to our YouTube channel LSC, that is Legal Services Consultancy. In this channel, we will present national, social, legal, and management topics, issues, and their problem solutions. And friends, before starting my presentation, let me convey my sincere thanks for your concern with your advices, comments, or subscriptions on our previous presentation, that is exploring outsourcing services from rural India and its advantages. Thank you. And friends, today we are discussing about an exciting and new topic, that is LPO scope and development. LPO full form is a legal process outsourcing. I think the points which we are discussing in this presentation suits to other nations also to a certain extent. Friends, I have researched on LPO when I was pursuing my LLM corporate law. From that time, it is lingering in my mind to give some presentation on this topic. So today, here I am. The intention of this presentation is to focus, regulate orderly growth of LPO sector, and obviously for its contribution to the GDP, the economy of the nation. LPO is at nascent stage in India. And friends, we have taken utmost care to capture maximum content without missing. The slides are a bit overcrowded. We feel that it will be helpful to the viewers to grasp by reading the slide content even without audio. Hope you like it. Thank you. So friends, let's move on to the topic of discussion, that is LPO scope and development. This LPO scope and development we have segmented into two parts, part 1 and part 2, because it's a lengthy presentation. And we have further segmented LPO scope and development part 1 into the following subtitles, like what is LPO, what are the law courses, why outsourcing, what is the scope, and how we can set up the number of more number of LPOs, etc. This we will discuss during the presentation one by one. Friends, if you see the 12th point, which I have highlighted with double star mark, that is recruitment training culture and challenges. This we will be discussing in part 2 of LPO scope and development. So what is LPO? In LPO, legal process will be outsourced. Whereas if you see in BPO, business process will be outsourced. What is outsourcing? In outsourcing, one company collaborates with another company to do their internal work. This another company is called the third party. It may collaborate with one company or many companies to do their internal work. This is called outsourcing. And in outsourcing, we can see the sales center or client center where business development is done, and execution center where the project will be executed or delivered. And LPO is a knowledge-based sector, and the services offered are document review, contract management, commercial litigations, mergers and acquisitions, legal research, intellectual property management, paralegal services, drafting analysis. At a macro level, these are the services. There are various other services depending upon the clients. The services can be rendered. LPO serves leading corporations, law firms, academic institutions, and solo attorneys. They will work remotely regardless of time or location, because client is in one location and their outsourcing firm is in some other location. So offshore, onshore clients. There we can see the time difference will be there, time zone difference will be there. And we have to understand the terms onshore, offshore, nearshore, right shore. Onshore is the client is within the same country, like outsourcing company is from one country and client is also from the same country. Outsourcing company from Hyderabad and client is from Mumbai or anywhere within the India, domestic client. That is called onshoring. And offshoring means the client is outside the country. It may be US, UK. Nearshoring means the client will be in the neighboring countries where the time zone difference is hardly couple of hours, 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Example, we can take Malaysia or Singapore. These clients are nearshore clients to the Indian outsourcing firm. Time zone difference is hardly 2.5 hours, and it is very convenient to work because whenever there is an issue, they can immediately come online and discuss. Either a client may call the consultant or consultant will call the client, and they will settle then and there because both are working in the same time zone, hardly 2.5 hour difference. And right shore means depending upon the locations, office locations, multiple locations, offices are there. Client center in one location, sales center in one location, delivery center in one location. These all the offices will work together collectively for a common objective. Law courses. Friends, why am I discussing about law courses here? Because LPO invariably requires law academic background professionals since LPO deals with the legal matters. And law academic professionals will easily grasp the legal matters since it is their own domain. Law graduates will deliver the things much faster than any other graduates who will come along more slowly. And friends, law graduates can start contributing from day one, whereas other academic professionals have to understand the legal matters, challenges, remedies, and then they will work for the project. And we will see the courses offered in law. Various private and government colleges, universities offers these courses: LLB, LLM, LLB 3 years, 5 years, 5 years integrated LLB. That is BBA LLB, BCom LLB, or BA LLB. BBA LLB is best suited for LPO because in BBA they will study the management also. And did you see why LLB is written like this? Double L dot B. Why not L dot L dot B, or why not LLB dot? First, we need to understand the full form. Legum Baccalaureus. LLB means Legum Baccalaureus. Double L is used because we are studying many laws. So for plural, double L is used. Similarly, LLM, double L is used because we are not studying one law, many laws. So for plural in Latin, double letter will be used. Example, for pages, we have to write double P. And there are other courses also available like PG diplomas, 1 year, 2 years, PG diplomas offered by universities and institutes like PG diploma in intellectual property management, cyber law, criminology, etc. They are also given priority in LPO while selecting the candidates. And LLD, that is the Legum Doctor or PhD. There are more than 500 institutes in India teaching law and more than 20 national law schools teaching law. National law schools like Nalsar, Symbiosis, ICFI, etc. And the admission criteria is based on the CLAT, Common Law Admission Test. Centrally it is conducted. And Law Set and PG Law Set, which is conducted by the respective states. And with the acceptable percentage. This is the admission criteria. And eligibility for LLB 3 years is any graduate. And for 5 years LLB 10 plus 2 is sufficient, or intermediate we can say. And for LLM, the candidate should be LLB qualified. And for doctorates, UGC NET or state set is the eligibility criteria. So friends, why outsourcing? Because corporates are increasing and legal challenges are increasing. So in every sector, the corporates are increasing and they are coming across a lot of legal works. There are unique advantages with the outsourcing. This we will discuss one by one. First one is overhead cost control. So in-house employees are costly, they will charge on hourly basis, and the in-house employees are paid salary and other variables. Variables may be TA, DA, HRA, LTA, bonus, insurance, etc. But if the work is outsourced, then they need not to pay any variable. They will be paying only the project fee or the consulting fee for delivery of the project. And employees payment even without work. So employees, even if they don't have any work, company don't have any legal work, still the employee should be paid. Company can't say that this month only 20 days you have worked, so we will calculate for 20 days and pay you. That can't be done because they have to abide by the employee's contract. So they have to pay full month, 30 days working. And one more advantage is tap external talent and global expertise. So internal employees may be lacking the talent. We can't expect that every employee has got all the skills and the talent. So whatever talent is lacking, that can be outsourced, and global expertise. So if we are outsourcing our work from the outside nation, outsourcing firm, then we are reaching the global expertise, not within the country. This is one advantage. And one more is skills and expertise, as I told you. Sorry. So to mitigate a shortage of skills and expertise of internal employees, the work will be outsourced. And LPO team hails from different verticals and domains. It may be from pharma, FMCG, engineering, IT, energy, etc. So they got different domain knowledge and hails from different management functions. They have worked in They have worked in sales, marketing, business development, quality control, quality assurance, regulatory. So different management functions they have worked. So that will be the unique advantage. So they know the management techniques, the legal challenges, and they will come out with the probable perfect solutions for that. And the LPO team has got rich experience, vast experience in all these domains and functions. And one more also reason for outsourcing is they can access the niche or specific expertise. So this is one unique advantages of outsourcing. And let's move on to the next slide. Reduce overburden. So sometimes what happens, the company has heavy work, heavy load on the employees. So to reduce that, they will outsource the work to an outsourcing firm. So workload balance and flexibility in staffing by company HR. So this is also one of the advantage. So based on the work, the company will decide that this part of work will be outsourced and this part will be from the internal employees. So for this part of internal employees work, they will calculate how many employees are required. So they will have the calculation like how many people are required in the legal department or legal department of the company. This will be decided by the HR department. HR deals with the recruitment of the personnel for the company, and they will outsource for segmenting the work. The work will be segmented. Like internal employees will be working on strategical or important tasks or policy matters, and they will outsource the regular day-to-day activities to an outsourcing firm, back-end work to and routine work to the outsourcing firm. So this way they will segment the work. One more unique advantage with outsourcing is reducing turnaround time. That is, the project completion time will be reduced. We will take an example of US and India because we have majorly working for US UK clients. So we have taken this example because in US, if it is a daytime, it is a nighttime in India, and if it is a daytime in India, it is a nighttime in US. So here what happens when US will work, that time the Indian consultant will be relaxing nighttime, and similarly when Indian work, US will be relaxing. For them it's a nighttime. So what happens, the Indian consultant will work, and evening they will hand over the project to the US client, and that time it will be starting them. They are starting their day. So what happens? The project will be continued. There is no break. Hardly 2-3 hours difference is there. Example, if you take here, it is 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Then for them, we are 10.5 hours ahead of US. So it means we are 6 means if we calculate, it's a 12, then 8, 7:30. 7:30 a.m. in US, here 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. we are closing our day, and for them it's the starting of the day. 7:30 a.m. They may not start exactly at 7:30 after 2-3 hours, couple of hours. So this way there is no break in the project. So the project will be continued. So one more thing is augmentation purpose. Augmentation. What is the meaning of augmentation? Augmentation means the action or process of making or becoming greater in size or amount. So for that purpose, so this way augmentation purpose, the work will be outsourced, and scalability and flexibility. So scalability is also, that is the capacity to be changed or changed in size or scale. And this way, if the work is outsourced, the LPO will deliver the desired results within the stipulated time in an economic way. We have discussed the economic because no variables and stipulated time, turnaround time will be reduced, and desired results. So they hail from vast, they carry, LPO carry rich experience in different domains, functions. They got skills and expertise, vast experience. So they will deliver the desired results. And this is an objective of any profit-oriented company. So what is the scope of LPO in India? LPO is at a nascent stage in India. Nascent means just coming into existence and beginning to display the signs of future potential. So it has got a huge potentiality in future. Corporates are increasing globally and are coming across a lot of legal works. So this is one of the future potential reason. US and UK are largely outsourcing services to India, China, Philippines, and others. So there is a huge scope of LPO. And India is a destination for LPO. A lot of corporates are flourishing in India because of various reasons. We got good resources, economic resources. We got talented professional, academically and functionally qualified professionals. And as we have discussed in the previous slide, that these are the institutes, so 500 institutes and universities offering law, law degrees. So we got academically and functionally qualified professionals, law and management professionals, English speaking skills. Our teaching law and management is in English. So they got that English speaking skills, and workaholic level, working on Sunday, holidays, overtime working. So our people are habituated to walk extra mile to achieve excellence. So they will not compromise. So that is the advantage. So hard working, talent working. And LPOs will explore if awareness is created about its services, operations, productivity, and potentiality. So awareness should be created. The LPO awareness can be created by setting up of more number of LPOs and offering LPO courses. So setting up of more number of LPOs, there are hardly 8 to 10 global LPOs operating in India, mainly from metros for US UK clients. There is a huge scope, as we have discussed in the previous presentation, previous slide, that a lot of corporates are flourishing and they are coming across a lot of legal works. So there is a huge scope to set up more number of LPOs. LPOs should be set up, and then after setting up an LPO, there should be a structured training program to the professionals, to the employees on required modules as and when required. And this will enable to increase the more number of projects optimally and maximum returns. So in this slide, we will say that there is a need to set up more number of LPOs to deliver more number of projects. So LPO will explore if awareness is created about its services, operations, productivity, and potentiality by these two methods. One is setting up of more number of LPOs, and then second is offering LPO courses. So what is the uniqueness? LPO courses and its importance. LPO revolution has begun. The nature of work can be learnt by associating or working with an LPO, because LPO is not taught in academics. Hardly any known university or institute offers LPO course. IGNOU offers PG diploma in LPO, PGD LPO. And there are some other training institutes and corporates which offers certificate and training courses in LPO. So there is a huge demand, huge requirement to offer LPO courses, and industry is growing. It can be taught in academics to law graduates so as to get better insight into the industry to join, and they can join by choice but not by chance. The people, the professional who will join by passion, ambition, and by choice will turn into a more productive asset to the company. So what is the difference between by choice and by chance? By choice means that is the ambition, that is the strong desire that I want to get into this segment, I want to work for this company, I want to work for this industry, I want to handle this type of skills, or I want to take this type of responsibility, challenging responsibility. So with that intention, the candidate will come if they will learn the LPO in their academics. So passion and ambition will be there. And by chance means, okay, we have got the offer and let's join it, let's accept it. So there we can't expect the candidate will deliver, as per the company requirement. So first preference will be passion, ambition, and by choice. So continuation slide of LPO courses and its importance. So academically qualified LPO professionals are more productive. So they know about the challenges and they know about the work culture. They will be more productive, and they can start contributing from the beginning because of having the special industry knowledge. So this is an advantage for LPO courses, and LPO should be taught by more number of universities, institutes, corporates to cater the requirements. So this is the message what I want to convey. And Westla at academic level, since we are dealing with a lot of Western countries on rendering our services, legal services, LPO services. So should have the knowledge of the Westla at academic level also. More number of US UK projects we are addressing, and even other countries. So we need to have an understanding about their law, and it should be a comparative study about the laws, as world is a small village. And there should be, awareness should also be created with the debates, seminars, lectures in colleges. So this is also, we'll be giving more insight about LPO work culture and the live projects and interns for the people who are pursuing their LLB or law degree, pursuing or who have completed, they can work on these live projects and internship. So LPO setup procedure. For incorporation, one should have to constantly update on the prevailing laws. There is a need to update on the latest statutes based on the company size, scalability, shares, promoters, etc. And you should have to update yourself because the law may change from time to time, and should have the knowledge of the register of companies, ROC, regional director, because these are the regulating bodies, and these are the bodies where the incorporation can be done. Shops and establishment, register of companies where the company is registered, and regional director is above register of companies. There are few register of companies under one regional director. Example, take under one regional director, there may be 6 or 8 register of companies will be there. And the regional director role comes at a higher level. See, after registering a company in India in one state, if they want to start operation from any other state, then they have to approach the regional director. Within the state register of companies, if they want to expand in other state or other area, then regional director is required. Their involvement is required. Shops and establishment for a small concern. So we will discuss about professional liability. Professional liability is a big issue in Western countries. There are chances that the client can sue the unprofessional if a legal consultant failed to undertake the case properly, professionally, or mishandle the case. There are chances to face the legal consequences by the clients. So this is the seriousness about the professional liability. There are various steps and documents involved required in incorporation and registration. That depending upon the proprietary firm or partnership firm, private limited, private or public limited. And for incorporation, we have a MCA portal, that is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, where online also it can be incorporated. The company can incorporate online, and there you can see the latest updates, statutes. And in partnership firm, unlimited liability is there. That is, personal property may also be attached. In partnership firm, joint and several liability is available. What is the meaning of joint and several liability? In joint and several liability, multiple parties can be held liable for the same event or act and can be responsible for all restitutions required. So if one party has committed a mistake, then everybody has to bear that, the consequence. So the liability is there on all the partners. Whereas the new concept of LLP came, that is limited liability partnership, which is less risky compared to partnership, because each partner is liable for their individual share only. Here we will see what are the generally required documents to set up an LPO. Nothing to discuss more. Generally for any incorporation, you should have your photo identity, your address proof, your bank account, because money transaction has to take place, your PAN number, and the other documents you have to produce while registering or incorporating your firm. The authorized registering personnel, after verifying your and vetting your available documents, they will help you to get these documents. You need not to worry on these documents. See, generally PAN card is required. Every bank holder will have that, and PAN card in case of tax deduction, and bank account number, service tax number if you are into service segment, and import export code. This can be sought from the register with the joint director of foreign trade for importing and exporting the service or product, and authority from customs for custom bonding premises import from outside the country without paying custom duty, and manufacturing license if you are into manufacturing segment, it can be sought from the custom authority. Other service provider application to the telecom department, because data and voice will be transferred to the other country, so you have to take an approval from them, and application to internet service provider since you are using their services to render your service to your client. And you should have a knowledge of FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, and FDI, Foreign Direct Investment. And you need to understand SEZ, Special Economic Zone. Special Economic Zone has got some exemption from income tax, service tax, custom excise, and other local tax license. So to encourage, the corporations, the corporates, the center and state are coming up with these liberal policies. So this is about generally required document to LPO setup. Then we will discuss about the stages and contracts in LPO. In any business, 3 stages are there. One is business development stage, second is execution or delivery stage, and third is a revenue part. Ultimately, every company will work for that. Return on investment, ROI. So business development, client development, and generating project. This is the stage, first stage. So the outsourcing firm will interact with the client, and they will collaborate. They will try to collaborate, and they will come into a common understanding. Then they will have the contract. So business development stage is that, and then is the execution. So they will share the client will share the project to the outsourcing firm, and the outsourcing will work on the project or the delivery or execution of the project. So this is the second stage, execution or delivery stage. And the financial part, after delivering the work, the outsourcing firm will claim their money or revenue for rendering the service, outsourcing service. So return on investment. Ultimately, this is the objective of any profit-oriented company. Then we will see about the contracts involved in the association. See, association between parties is legally valid and enforceable if there is a contract. So legally valid and enforceable if in future any disputes, any issues will arise, this contract will be helpful for them. The contracts may be bilateral or multilateral. Bilateral means between 2 parties, multilateral more than 2. And contract for initial partnering and each assignment. So while collaborating with the party, initial contract will be there. That is, this outsourcing firm will be working with this client. So that is the initial bonding or initial contract, or MOA, Memorandum of Understanding, we can say. And each assignment. So each assignment will be varying. So there, the contract will be different because every assignment may not be similar. Example, nature of work is different and resources involved may be different, turnaround time or delivery time, consulting fee, case to case basis. So based on the assignment, contract will be designed. Then contract comprises of, if you see the contract, what are the main things which are captured in the contract? Mainly the contracting party's name. So this is the consultant and this is the client, and the contracting entering date, they will enter the date. So from so and so date, this contract will come into force from so and so date, and they will enter the termination date also. In some contracts they will mention that this contract will be in force with effect from so and so date and valid till, they will give the date, or they will mention for 1 year from the date of commencement of this contract, or they will keep it open. They will mention that the termination of the contract will be based on the mutual consent or giving prior notice of 3 months by each party. So either client will give a 3 months notice to the consultant, or consultant will give the 3 month notice to the client. This notice period is to settle the issues, whatever, if they will give the 3 months notice, then in this 3 months time, they will, whatever the pending work is there, they will settle. If the client has to pay the money to the consultant, that they will take care. And if the consultant has to deliver some work, some project, execution of some project, that they will take care. And in contract, they will also mention the scope of work. What is the scope of work? What is the nature of work? What are the resources involved? Who are the, how many professionals are involved? So these are all the things, projects involved in the process involved in the execution of assignment or project. What type of process? What are the software they are using? So these things, and team involved in the execution development. How many professionals are working? What is the team? What is their background? Resources utilized. What are the other resources? Not only human resources, other resources they are using. Timelines for completing the each stage of assignment. So for completion of assignment, this is the time frame, maybe 6 months, and each stage, maybe by this month and this much of work will be done. That also they will discuss. That is not accurate, but they will give a fair idea. Generally, by this time we will hand over this much of work, and they will also share client and consultant. They will share their details, their website, their portal, and what is the client, or what are the types of services they will render, and what is about consultant, like what type of services they will render. And if they want to disclose, they will disclose the client name, their client names. There is consultant will be working on with the other clients also, so that is up to them. They will disclose or they will not disclose. That is between them. So we have discussed about timelines for the completing of each assignment. So each stage of assignment and completion and submission of final report. Then finally the professional fee or consulting fee. So what will be the fee structure? And we will see the confidentiality information. So this is one of the main thing which both the parties have to abide, because this consultant will be working with the client. The client information will be there with the consultant. If the consultant will disclose this client information to to any the other company or any third party, then the client will be at stake. So that is the reason the confidentiality information has to be maintained by the both the parties. Even the client has also maintained the confidentiality information about the consultant. Similarly, both have to mention. They will sign a non-disclosure agreement where they will discuss that these are the projects, whatever we are working, what are the process involved, whatever the timelines, whatever the consulting fee, that should not be disclosed to any party, any consultant, any outside third party. It should be between them. And correspondence. So correspondence. So frequent communication will be there on the latest updates. What is the stage of the project? Whatever issues are there, whatever concern they want to discuss. Correspondence and any other expenses. So during the course of contract, that can't be predicted. So any other expenses during the course of contract, this can't be predicted in the beginning, because additional expenses may be varying. So that can't be predicted. So they can't be given in the contract. But these things they will mention that as and when required they will claim, or with the prior approval of the client, the consultant will claim, or they will have an understanding that 50%, 50% we will share. I will give you an example of a HR outsourcing firm. So HR outsourcing firm, their role is to do the executive search to their client. Client will ask the HR consultant to recruit, example, general manager for manufacturing. So HR consultant will source the candidate, and they will organize the interviews. They will conduct the interviews, and they will schedule the meetings, telephonic interview, video conferencing. Then the client will say that we are satisfied with your these 5 candidates with whom we have interacted on video conferencing. So why don't you ask them to come for a personal interview or face-to-face interview? Here the candidate have to travel to the client place. So the expenditure is incurred to the candidate or the professional. So the consultant will say that since the candidate has to come to your place, the expenditure, the TA and DA, you have to take care. Or in return, they will say that the so and so candidate will be traveling on so and so date to your place. the airfare is this much, so the client has to take care. The client will approve it. Okay, let him come by air or second AC, we will pay it. So this way, this additional expenses can be discussed as and when required, and they will take a prior approval. Or the client will say that okay, we will issue the tickets, air tickets, and we will give the accommodation in so and so place. Ask the candidate to come and attend for a personal interview, face-to-face interview. So these are the additional expenses. And statutory taxes from time to time. So it will be varying. That also should be mentioned in the contract. And payment terms and payment mode. What are the payment terms? That payment terms we will discuss in the next slide. Payment mode we will discuss here. Payment mode, electronic transfer, online transfer. The payment will be done. And the contract is valid if it is signed by the authorized signatory of both the parties. Client will sign with their stamp, seal, and consultant will also, and both the parties will retain each copy of the contract. And also I would like to tell you, the contract will vary depending upon the industry, depending upon the client, depending upon the work. So this is a brief overview, or at a macro level, these are the things which are captured, which are covered in the contract or memorandum of understanding before getting into the work. Here we see the revenue, fee, or return on investment. See, the fee will be fixed monthly fee. Example, banks will have this fixed monthly fee, and retainer fee for 1 year. So the consultant will be working with a retainership fee. Example, they will have an agreement of a retainer fee of 12 lakhs per year, per annum. Then they will divide it into month. So every month 1 lakh. If it is 6 lakhs, 50,000 per month. So this is one fee structure which can be discussed. And contingency model. So this is the unique thing. Generally what happens, any client, if they want to collaborate or if they want to associate with any outsourcing firm, they will see what is the type of consultant or what type of services they are rendering, what is its growth, what is its caliber, or what type of professional, what are the resources they are using. So all these things they will analyze, then they will collaborate. After seeing all these things also, still they will have the doubt. Then the consultant will go to the client and they will say that, let's have an understanding. We will work on a contingency model initially for 15 days, for a fortnight time, or for a month time. There are some LPOs and some other outsourcing firm which will work on a contingency model. There are LPOs. I can't disclose their name because it's unethical or unprofessional or illegal to disclose their name. This contingency model means initially for 15 days the consultant will be working for a free of cost, or they will charge the nominal fee, the expenditure incurred on the project in executing the product. They will not look at the profit point of view. So whatever expenditure incurred, you pay us. The consultant will say that 15 days we will work. So we will be investing this much of time, money, effort. You pay the money without any profit for 15 days or for 1 month time. Or let's work free of cost for 15 days. Then after that, if you are satisfied, if you are convinced, then we will get into a permanent contract with a retainer fee. So this is the contingency model, and this model plays well in newly incorporated consulting firms. And fees will be paid in different intervals, generally 3 stages. So fees can be paid, depending upon the depending upon the contract. It may be 3 times. Like while giving the project, the client will pay this much of this portion of fee. In the 100%, let's take 40% will be paid while giving the project, and remaining 40% while during the execution of the project, and leftover 20% will be after completing the project. So this way the fee will be segmented or can be paid in 3 different intervals. Initially 40, then 40, then 20, so 100%. It may not be a fixed formula 40. Sorry, it may be like 30, 40, and 30, or 40, 30, and 30, whatever, based on the mutual understanding. So this way, three stages: client pays while starting the assignment, first part, and the second part pays after completing some work by LPO, some portion of fee, and full and final settlement after completion. And there is no adjustment, or it will not be transferred to other project, and there will not be any refund. That they will discuss they will write in the contract. I have one client in Hyderabad who had the similar MOA. My client is an engineering client. They are into rendering services of security systems. You have seen security systems in shopping malls, in metro stations, metro railway stations. While entering, you have to pass through that access card. You have to show your access card. So that type of manufacturing company, and they have delivered this project. They have delivered this access systems, security systems to their client. Their client. My client is a manufacturing company, and their client is utilizing this manufacturing services. So what happened? They have the same agreement of three stages. Initially, while giving the project, the client has paid my client the portion whatever they have discussed, 40%, and after supplying the product, they have to pay the remaining portion, remaining 40%. But that client has refused to pay. They told that you do one thing, you come and install it and complete the project, then we'll pay you the full and final settlement. But for that, the client has not agreed. Then there is a dispute which is still going on. So it should be discussed in contract about the fee. There should not be any violation in the payment of fee terms. So three, if it is given in the contract, then you should have to bind with the fee. Fee paid on case to case basis, so that depending upon the project working hours resources, that can also be, you know uh, depending upon the project, it will be segmented. And fees paid generally after raising invoice LPO towards the rendered. So after raising the invoice, the fees will be paid for the records. So whatever the transfer they are making the payment, they should have some evidence while claiming the tax or while submitting, while auditing. These are the things which are required. With this, friends, we will conclude our presentation, LPO scope and development. In part one, we have discussed part one, and in part two, LPO scope and development, we will discuss the recruitment training, culture challenges, because that is a different topic altogether. And we request you to share your concerns, share your feedback, remarks, questions, and if you want to know anything in elaborate, like I have given MOA or contract, this at a macro level for a specific industry, for specific company, for specific project, the contract will vary. If you need anything like that, we are there to help you. We will come with the probable, presentation. And my profile, like I hail from the corporate background. So that's all. Please share your feedback, comments, advices, the way you have shared in my previous presentation, in my first presentation, exploring outsourcing services from rural India. And these are our contact details. You can SMS me, WhatsApp me, you can mail me, and my LinkedIn profile is there. You can see my profile and Twitter account. That's all. So thank you for your patience. We will meet in the next slide. Thank you.